Welcome everyone to the round robin round 3 of the Chrono Lynx at Fort Dragonia. Here we have AzraelHobbes versus CorporateImage, and on commentary we have AK Azalea, Doc Cobrin, Carbon Drank, and PH112358. I think that's the first time I didn't say PH with a bunch of numbers. So without further ado, if the runners are ready, we'll get this going. We'll do the countdown. 3, 2, 1, go. Good luck, runners. And I'll leave it all to the commentary.
All right. Thank you so much, Dine. I appreciate it. It's going to be super fun. Hope everyone's looking forward to it.
Oh, this is exciting. We have PH and Azala on comms. Normally they say hidden.
I think for the first time.
Yeah. In addition, obviously, Carbon and Doc. So the fabulous four.
Corporate got Korcha.
Oh no. So race is over. We're done.
Yeah. We did have somebody in chat guess that one of them would get Korcha, so.
With this game, it's a pretty fair guess. Yeah. Already looking good for Hobbes. He has his favorite character, which is himself embodied in Fargo. And Corporate naturally just got the worst starting character. Not that it actually matters for the sake of the game or the speedrun. It's just a little fun that we like to have, saying that there's quite a few characters that you can get at the start of this, what's known as a dream sequence. And so we like to say that, one character has better luck or stat growth than another.
So Korcha is just the worst in general, so that's the other thing. The one thing that can be slightly different, JD Silvergun, to your question, is that character names can be a little bit longer or shorter, so the amount of time that the text takes to render can be very, very, very slightly faster. It's like a really minor thing. And then there's a couple of characters that actually have speech patterns that take longer. One of the cool things about Chrono Cross is that every character has its own speech pattern. Some use kind of like a default one, but for example, Poshel, who's the kind of like pink fluffy dog, right, adds like Thurgy-poo to all of the ways that it talks, and that actually adds more text. So it's very, very slightly slower. You're talking about, fractions of a second here because we're done with these two in, the first 2.5 minutes, but technically it's slower.
Yeah. This is actually a little odd. I'm wondering if Hobbes forgot fast disk speed or something, because he was very slow to that platform, or if he got an encounter that I missed.
It looked like in the beginning that he just didn't skip the cutscene right away. Like the little cutscene played longer for him, so I don't know if he was having controller issues.
Yeah, because he stepped on that platform around 2 minutes, and normally, especially for the skill level of both these runners, you tend to be on that like no later than 1:40. So the real challenge with this dream sequence is that we have to dodge bats and cybots, and every encounter that we get, you can run away from every encounter, but it takes about 20 seconds worth of time. So
there we go. And Hobbs confirming in the chat that the cutscene did not skip, which makes sense for him to be this far behind with no extra encounters. So that's something he'll have to make up. Hopefully, it's not a huge difference, but it is something that he'll be trailing a bit here at the start. There's mostly just sort of like running around in a couple of menus here for the first 5 minutes and change.
Let's stretch with Serge.
That's right. Good stretch. So, can Fargo steal stuff for you to start the game with? Would be nice. Not quite. But,
well,
it's
technically, you can do the animation. You won't keep the item, though.
Right.
But yeah, you actually, for all the characters that we do start with in that dream sequence, you can use their abilities and battle with them. It's actually, as much as we don't want to get the encounters, it's one of the only times in the speedrun, even any percent, that we'll see Serge's silver swallow weapon, which is, I think, casually one of the most. It's probably the highest level weapon that we tend to get. I think most people tend to not realize you can make stone weapons or even rainbow, or get the Master Mune. So, which is like a tier 4 weapon for him. So,
Yeah.
in this speedrun, we kind of skip a couple levels. We go to his tier 3 and then his tier 5, and then we grab the most OP weapon for him in the Master Mune for any percent. But for this category in Lynx 2%, we're just gonna go. Actually, in this section coming up, we're gonna be guiding materials so that we can get that tier 3 weapon in the Steel Swallow and in Iron Dagger. We ended up talking to our girlfriend Lena, who's trying to get us plot-wise to go kill some Komodos, get their scales. And fortunately, throughout this section, the enemies that we fight give all the materials that we need. Barring you don't get a little unlucky.
Careful putting that into the universe there, Carbon.
Yeah.
Well, I did accidentally somehow curse AzraelHobbes' run with the key luck, and I didn't
Accidentally.
mean to. Accidentally.
And did you curse or predict?
I made no predictions. I said I didn't want it to happen, but if it did happen, it would tighten the race. So, actually, interestingly enough, as far as the Lynx 2 brackets are concerned, corporate, there's 2 groups of 5, so each person will be playing against each other, so a total of 4 matches. And right now, corporate is sitting at a 2-0 rate, so 2 wins, 0 losses, and Hobbes is, I believe he's 1 win and 0 losses.
Ooh.
This is the 3rd match for Corp, second for Hobbes. So if Corp ends up taking this, he'll go to 3-0, which just about, it guarantees that at worst, he has to go to a tiebreak.
So,
Ooh!
Hobbes got the beach bomb. That's very, very important.
Yes.
Potential.
Carbon was talking about the materials that we need for the weapons, and the beach bum there, that little center enemy that Hobbes just got in his combat, that is what drops the humors. And ideally, we would like to get 2 of them. He did get 1. And CorporateImage was lucky to get the rare drop from, I believe, both of the Komodos that he fought, or he got a feather drop, and that's another important item for these weapon upgrades.
So basically, by Hobbes getting the humor, he can skip a fight later in this section here.
Oh.
Or he'll just take it anyway.
He waited and then decided that he didn't want to wait any longer. So this is okay for Hobbes. It is a little slow because he technically didn't have to take this fight, but it should guarantee that he cannot get, a not humor. There's a couple backups that we have, so he should be at least running Iron Dagger after this.
Yeah, he does need to get the second. So the rates for the drops that we're all talking about, generally in almost everything in this game, we're looking for common drops or common steals, which more or less have about a 90% chance to happen. Things that are the rare drops tend to be about 10%. The feather is basically the only rare drop in the first hour or so that we would really, really want. Would make like a huge difference for corporate. You can get like the power glove later, which can be good or bad depending on if you have what Carbon is talking about, like if you have 2 humors already versus not. You can also, Hobbes just missed the jump.
Just too early.
Oh. So Hobbes is having a little bit of a slow opening here. But
yeah, he probably feels like he's just a little bit behind, which, I mean, he is a bit behind at this point, but missing that jump is just, this game you have to just be a little cool, calm, and collected.
Yeah. Corporate here is taking on the Mama Komodo. The Mama Komodo has a couple different ways that you can take her out. I think Corp did all the damage he would probably need, given his combination of like the stamina that he got rolled and how he went through that fight. He did have to see one of her attacks, but down she goes. And he's looking, actually, this is a fairly fast, even though he hasn't taken the extra fight for the humor yet, this is going to be pretty quick. He's at 9-10 with finishing up the Mama Komodo. So for if you're kind of in that like category of runners that have like a sub 7-hour PB, which both Corporate and Hobbes do, I would say that's still a pretty good opening. So for a relay, that's a very good start for Corporate.
Yeah, for sure. He will most likely take a beach bum fight afterwards, which will add roughly about 40 seconds to his time. But yeah, he's sitting pretty with that feather. He did miss a strength up on that, but it's not the end of the world. So, and Hobbes is now getting into his Mamakomoto fight.
So as Hobbes is doing this fight and kind of going through it again, for those who aren't as familiar, let's talk a little bit, I think, about the battle system for the way that this game operates. You'll see the two main components that you have to worry about are your stamina, which you can see in the bottom of the character, that little like box with the character's name on it. So you can see that Hobbes just got back to stamina 7. That means that he has 7 stamina points. Weak attacks take 1, medium attacks take 2, fierce attacks take 3. An element takes 7 stamina. So you can see that he does 3 level 2 attacks, and that uses up 6 stamina, and then he uses his fireball, an element, and it takes another 7 and puts him at -6. So there are some mechanics around that we actually manipulate later in the game to try and beat certain really hard fights faster. But for this fight, the big component is just making sure that you get through everything, have enough stamina to do all the damage you need, and then get that fireball +2 off. It looks like he missed his strength up as well, but did get a feather. So he will also be able to go through straight to the next sequence.
And I think him getting that feather will kind of even this back up because he has 2 humors, so there's no reason for him to take an extra fight after the little story sequence here.
Right. I think so. He's probably still a bit behind, but it definitely each of those things can make like a difference, right? Like with the way Chrono Cross works, even something like a minute's difference can be made up very, very fast. We do know that both of these runners have agreed not to go for guard skip, so that isn't something that could make a difference in a run. One runner getting it versus another runner not can be like a pretty substantial delta, like somewhere in the neighborhood of a minute and a half or more between the two. So that won't be something, but there's multiple other components of RNG, like the ghost ship key, which could easily, like, by itself, not only make up any gap, but actually literally flip it. So lots of time left. Yeah, Deed. So Corp and Hobbes agreed not to go for guard skip.
Yeah, I think they would have done that anyway, regardless of what happened with the Hobbes versus Zola run, where Hobbes went for it and honestly got some really unfortunate luck in that one, where he basically was down about 2 minutes when a failed guard skip should take about 20 seconds extra versus not going for it. So, but I think they both just agree that they don't want such a big swing to come down to kind of chance in a sense, even though there is the key section. So,
Right.
So while Hobbes is starting this cutscene, Corp's just coming out of it. He's gonna be able to skip this feather backup that we have, which they both will be able to skip, which is fortunate. And he's gonna have to end up talking to Lena again to progress the plot. But like we have mentioned a few times, he's gonna also probably take a beach bum fight, if not 2. And if he takes 2, say because he doesn't get the drops that he wants, or maybe he wants a safety drop, that will give him what's called a mini star, which is kind of, without going too much into the mechanics, but it will emulate it will mirror the stat increases that he would get on the boss fight. I don't think he's going to go for it because he will most likely get the items he wants, but if he does get a single humor, he'll either have to risk a backup ivory vest drop to get a second humor, take the mini star fight, or run ivory dagger, which any of those situations could, outside of the vest drop, would tighten this race up again.
So Pistachius, what we're talking about is so both of our runners are going to be doing the Pierre route, yeah. And as Handy here in the chat mentions, right, you have to fight there's 3 guard fights that you do before you can get, as you're like entering the manor, right? You do the front gate, then you have to fight guards that are in front of the front door, and then you fall down and you have to fight a 3rd set of guards like when you're in the trap. That middle fight, there's actually a piece of tech that allows you to skip it, but it requires very good mashing and a little bit of luck. Even if you have good mashing, because of the way that the game works, it'll still only actually successfully go, we believe, half the time. Like they've tested it, and it's basically, it only works on, I think, even frames and not on odd frames. I might be wrong on that, but it's like one of the two. So it's definitely a risky, but it has a pretty big, it's basically skipping an entire fairly slow fight. So it's a pretty big value if you get it.
But they're not even going to go for it, so we don't have to worry about it for this run.
It's going to also mean that, so you can see actually really quickly, corporate, as Carbon was saying, is going in here into the extra fight. Hobbes will not have to do this because he already has 2 humors. And this is a little risky because he only has a single beach bum in this fight. What that means is, at best, he'll get 1 humor, and it's possible that he gets none. So again, with those drop percentages, the way that it works is that, so beach bums actually only drop an item 90% of the time. And then the item will be the common drop, which is the humor, which is what we want, 90% of that. So it's technically about a 4 in 5 chance that he gets this humor.
Did get 1 humor.
That bum is in a perfect spot. I think he. Yeah, he should have taken that. I think.
Oh, I've never seen it actually be right there. It was
All
right
the
in his
way
way.
out in the middle.
Yeah. So normally that bum is off to the left side next to a chest, which contains, I believe it's an electro jolt, which way back in the day, in the early routing of this run, we grabbed and used because it's a fairly strong yellow element. But if you were going for that mini starter, that bum, you'd kind of have to go out of your way. But that bum was just right there, and with Corp only getting 1 humor off that first fight, now he's risking a 90% chance to get the ivory vest. So it's highly favorable that he gets it. But if he doesn't, he's either going to have to come back and get another humor, or run without a increased weapon for Kid later.
See, this is one thing. If he'd known where Hobbes was, he probably would have taken that second fight.
Potentially, because he's also, I believe, sitting at 9 strength, and
Yeah, he
like
missed
I
the
mentioned
strength on the
earlier,
first.
if he got the strength off that mini star, he would be at 10 after that bump fight, and then after this fight, he's guaranteed to have been at 11 if he got that mini star one. So he would be at least having a really good outlook on strength. So, but if he misses it here, he's going to still be at 9, which is pretty low.
So really quickly, as corporate starts this fight here, when we talk about getting stars, that's basically getting level ups when you beat bosses. That's where you get stats. They are random, so there's no guaranteed growths. So when we talk about like good strength or bad strength and whatnot, that's based on randomness. The fight itself, so you can see that corporate here is defending at the start of the fight. You have to wait for Salt, who's the tall, skinny fellow that just attacked, to run up and actually do his attack before you can do any damage to them. Their hit points are basically locked at like an unkillable level, and they automatically refresh every turn. They want this tutorial to go off. So now that that's happened, now corporate can actually start attacking and doing damage.
And Salt was tutoriating that he ran up, attacked Serge, figured out his element was white, and so therefore he needs to attack with the opposite element, black, in order to do more damage. But Salt and Pepper, being tutorial battles, don't bring the things that they're supposed to, and so we get to learn without them actually doing anything to us, which is kind of cool.
Right, so pretty good start here for corporate. No bad misses. They both had kind of a slow start on their fights in terms of how long they had to wait for Salt. Looks like Hobbes actually had to wait for 3 attacks before Salt went, which is kind of unfortunate.
Yeah, a lot of this fight is just trying to get the tall, lanky guy, Salt, down as quickly as possible, and then try to get Pepper down as well, because he's also pretty quick to kill. But then also at even the higher levels, you're really trying to manipulate your stamina refresh, because we put both Kid and Serge into negative stamina, which makes the game kind of give you back some stamina, so that way we can then do extra damage. And if you get a slightly bad stamina, bad miss on Hobbes' end. Corporate looks like he got his vest drop and the strength, so he's sitting pretty. He dodged that 10% bullet. But it's not too bad to like none of these fights are particularly dangerous. It's just that they end up being really slow once you start getting all of these misses and maybe not getting the right stamina refresh or having to defend, go extra rounds, stuff like that. So none of these fights that we're going to see are that dangerous. There are a couple, but just adding time. And Corporate, now that he's finished his fight, is coming up on actually probably the hardest trick in the game, and that is saying no to Kid 3 times.
You really don't want to get that one wrong. So we have to say no to Kid because that's what allows us to get Lena here coming up. Not our Lena. Actually, this is the other world, another world's Lena. And if you don't get Lena, it's really, really bad because it means that you lose access to her magic stat. She's really good with magic, and she's a blue innate, which will become really, really important in about 90 minutes. So, actually less than that, more like an hour and, I don't know, whatever it is, an hour and 10. So, successfully, Corporate got through. Hobbes is trying to just finish up his fight here. Got Karsh down. So it looks like Hobbes is a little bit less than 2 minutes behind right now.
Oh.
And did not get the strength. He did get, well, I guess he didn't really need the
now.
drops.
Oof. Oh, man. That's just doubly unfortunate. Kind of you can still make low strength work. It just it means that you need extra damage from the other characters in your party. And you really, really cannot afford to miss, which, as we just saw in his last fight, it happens a lot more than you would expect with a 70% accuracy, which that 70% is correct. It is exact. So that's just a lot of really, really bad rolls right there.
Yeah, it's not like for anyone who's familiar with, for example, like the Fire Emblem games, they actually had something that was known as like a double roll RNG, because they used to have the actual hit percents be displayed, but people thought that they were unfairly low because they'd be like, I'm missing 90% level attacks. I should never miss a 90%. And it's like, no, you actually should miss it 1 out of every 10 times. So they actually adjusted the RNG in that game to roll 2 numbers and then take the combo, and that was actually how they figured it out, to make the, like, something that's actually says 90% is actually much closer to like a high 90% hit rate in that game, whereas here it is a true 90% hit rate, which means you will miss. Usually in Chrono Cross lore, for speedrunning, you manage to miss at the worst possible time almost all the time.
Yes.
Yeah, some of the strategies we do, we don't we do assume that you hit. So it's just a streamlined method. And maybe that's kind of a problem with some of the notes and strategies that we're doing, but when they work and you hit everything, you go really fast. But unfortunately, you can miss, and it happens far more than you would ever want. So
yeah, a lot of what we do later in the game is designed to kind of mitigate that by using things like, there's an element that you'll see make an appearance here called Eagle Eye, which locks your hit rate at 99%, which is really useful, right? Because it means you're almost guaranteed to hit. So we have used that a lot in the speed run.
Of course,
Yeah.
99% is as high as you can get it, so you can never be completely immune to misses, unless, of course, you're using elements, which can't miss, but they're slower.
yeah,
Exactly.
so Corporate's going into the second tutorial fight where they this time have brought a black element, except they brought a non-damaging turn black element. So what he ended up doing was actually turning Serge from a white innate element into a black one. So what that means is, what you'll see on the top left corner is the screen effect, or the field effect, where it's green, yellow, black, and now it's actually yellow, black, red. And each color that matches our innate color boosts the damage that we do. And that red from the strengthen that Pepper just did also boosts the damage of this fireball that we just did.
Just noticed Corpse Surge is actually really, really low health. 56 here is really bad.
Yeah, it's very rare for him to be less health than Lena. Oof.
Ooh, man. So he got low rolled. So Surge has min magic right now, I think, because throwing that fireball after the strengthening comes out and still only doing 30 damage like Corporate did is very low. And then he got a bad roll on top of that, and then just managed to not kill Salt, and then missed both times with Surge. So it's not this isn't like a terrible fight, but it's definitely not as fast as he could have gotten through it.
Yeah, and actually, one of the things that Corp did before he got into this fight that we mentioned was that Ivory Vest drop that he got off the Karsh Salt Pepper fight. He replaced Poshel's Ivory Mail with that vest, so that way now he can disassemble that and get one of the humors that he's missing.
So. Yeah. So what Carbon is referencing there too? There's a couple things that. The way that the equipment works in this game is that we have a weapon, an armor, and 3 accessory slots. The accessory slots can be empty. The weapon and armor slots cannot. So what we're going to do is we actually need something. If we're going to take an armor off of a character, you have to have something to replace it with. So that's actually why we needed the Ivory Vest off of that Karsh Salt Pepper fight. We don't actually use the Ivory Vest for anything, but we need it because we can't get the Ivory Mail off of Poshel without it. And then the crafting mechanic in this game is that to make weapons and armor, you actually have to have materials, right? That's what the team has been talking about in terms of humors and feathers and all of that. And those materials, you can also disassemble your existing weapons to get some of those materials. So in this case, we're going to disassemble the Ivory Mail that Poshel had that was taken off, which gets us a second humor, which is what we need to be able to make both the weapons for Surge and Kid coming up here in just a minute.
Yeah.
Because we're all living in a material world.
Oh!
Ooh.
Oh my goodness.
Lena with 1
Hobbs
HP.
is so lucky. Yeah, that's so unfortunate that she got targeted with the pepper box and then attacked. Very lucky that she lived with 1 health. So after this, hold on, let's see what she gets. Okay, so she got a magic off that. She's now at 11. That's really good for Hobbs. Lena's magic is very important for a later section in the game. And if she had died there, there's no way that we could revive her or get her back up at this point in the game. And basically, if she's down for the count in the fight, she'll be revived outside of the battle, but at the end of that battle screen, she'll miss all of those stat increases. So that's a health increase, it's a chance for defense, it's a chance for magic defense, magic, strength, etc. And so not getting any of those, or even having a chance to get them, is really, really bad. One of the most, I guess, underrated stats for Lena is her defensiveness. We all talk about how her magic is important, and it really is, but her defensiveness is just as important, because there are some fights that she can just die in one attack, and what good is her magic if she's dead?
Proverbial glass cannon. So you can see over here on the left, CorporateImage is, so we now do have Kid, we've picked her up, and CorporateImage is kind of going out of his way to grab this Profiteer purse. And as an item, it's not particularly useful, but once again, this gets back to that crafting mechanic that we were talking about, is the Profiteer purse actually allows you to disassemble it for 2 iron, which actually it might be 3. I think it's 3, which is really, 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 really good, because that allows us to get that next level weaponry that we normally wouldn't have access to. So I think Carbon, you were talking about this a little bit earlier in the run, right? We're basically skipping straight to the level 3 weapons.
Yeah, we start with ivory weapons, even though Serge's weapon is technically a sea swallow, but it's basically ivory. The next level up is copper, which is what you most commonly have access to at this point. And then the only way to get iron at this exact point in the game is that Profiteer Burst, and that's the highest level weapon we can get. Now, it might not sound like a lot, but the difference between those weapons is, at least for Serge, is 3 strength. Well, 3 strength's worth, and when he's at 11 right now, that's 25% of what he has. So it's a big difference.
And we'll be using Serge physical attacks for a big chunk. Like, Serge is going to be our main damage dealer for the next, say, 45 minutes or so, 50 minutes or so. And so his physical damage output going up by, 20, 30% is really substantial, because that can mean the difference of, 1, 2, sometimes even 3 fewer rounds, depending on enemy health, that you would have to do to kill.
And it's not just the increased strength as well, it also has a slightly higher chance to hit.
Yeah, absolutely. So really quickly, Pistachius asked a super important question, which is, what's the reason for using Pierre? I assume it's the fastest route. The answer is not that it's the fastest route. The answer is that Pierre is the best because he is a true hero, and it just happens to be that it also is the fastest route. Yes, so it is the fastest.
PH is totally right. Pierre is the true hero of this run. Main character material. Just actually, so casually speaking, most people I think would take the Guile route. It's kind of one of the most known routes because you find him in the bar and he tells you how to get in. So it's not only is he kind of like in your face a bit more, I think people are also kind of drawn to his character. He personally was my favorite route, and the speedrun used to use him at one point, but as we see Corporate, he has put Pierre into his party, and we're going to quickly see why he is the best. But first he has to get these guards, which this fight is, for some reason, these are the only guards in the game that count as a star level or a boss fight. So Corporate has a chance to get a strength at this fight.
There is a special ending where Pierre, Salt, and Pepper go to the Fort Dragonia on their own. So that's how special Pierre is.
Right. It's actually funny. So if you use come up with a plan as that as part of that dialogue option there, you get a really funny scene where they get a whole bunch of cats to run in, and the guards have to go chasing them. The problem is that immediately after that, you have to take 2 extra fights instead of just this one. So it's still unfortunately slower, even though it's really funny. Yeah,
there's three text options that you can choose from, but there's actually a hidden 4th one, which is that cat one that PH is talking about, and it is hilarious. I actually almost think we should have made it a criteria for this category, this being links to cat %. Basically.
There you go.
But you're not, and it's, excuse me.
It's a donation incentive for the full run right there.
Mm-hmm.
So I apologize if I'm mispronouncing this. Oronodelis, yes, the going a little bit out of the way to get the Profiteer Purse is definitely worth it. The extra damage that you get out of the Steel Swallow and the Iron Dagger. So basically, Serge will be using this weapon for the rest of the run for cat %.
Yeah.
We actually don't replace it until how far do we get the Stone Swallow? Azala? What is it? It's like 4 hours in?
Hold on. I'll answer that in a second. So right now on Corporate's screen, we're seeing why we choose. One of the reasons we choose Pierre, as well as it just being faster. He is going to do good work for us. Ooh.
No.
Okay, he clutched it out.
There he goes.
He clutched it out. Good job, Pierre. You did your job.
That's why Pierre's the hero.
So
he sacrifices himself for us.
He sacrifices himself. So part of Pierre's route is that we have to fight Salt and Pepper again, except they bring basically the Hulk Buster in Ketchup, and he just hits and kills whoever is in the first position of your party, and you can change the ordering of your party by hitting the select button. So normally it's Serge up front, so Serge kind of gets pushed into the ground, but we put Pierre there because, you know, he's really just trying to help us, and he takes it for us. Now, fortunately, Salt's an idiot, and he revives us anyway, which puts the white on the field and increases Surge's damage. So it's really important, though, that we get that revive, because we want that white as well. Because if we saw Pierre dodge 2 out of the 3 attacks, if he had dodged that 3rd attack, they would do a Cure Plus instead of the Revive, which means we don't have the white to increase Surge's damage, and then we also have a blue on the field, and Kid being a red innate means she's doing less damage as well.
Pierre also pushed into the Flame Knock because apparently this is the Pierre only run. Pierre strats.
He is the hero. You know, I had I think literally last night, I had an 11 or 12 strength Pierre after the fort.
Wow. That's really good.
For those who don't know, Pierre also has one of the worst stat growths in the game.
Basically, so casually, the idea behind Pierre is that you're actually looking for his hero equipment, and if you get all of his hero equipment and give that to him, then he gets significantly powered up. He's still a little bit worse than some of the best characters, but he actually gets pretty good.
Yeah.
So
he's not a late game character by any means, even with those hero, but mid game he can become pretty potent.
So Corporate had a little bit of a difficulty getting through that fight. He actually had a really good start, went for the 3-3 strat, which I think Carbon is the one who came up with, but then got a couple of unfortunate misses there, was just short on his damage. Got through right around, I think, let's say about 3607, so we'll get a sense of the space between he and Hobbes here in just a minute once Hobbes finishes this fight.
Yeah. Corp decided to use a tablet in that fight, which makes sense. His Surge was a little low on health. Potentially could have died to the Flame Knock.
It also puts a red on the field that makes Kid's attacks more powerful. He was getting some really good Kid attacks there at the end, 50-some damage.
Ooh, must have a strong Kid.
He crit. His last attack, it was like 30-something, and then I think it was like 30-60.
Yeah.
Interestingly, both of them killed off Ketchup with a crit from Kid. That's a little weird, but...
So, Azala, we just saw Hobbes do a 1, and then he waited and did a 3-3. Do you want to talk about kind of stamp pushing in the AP system?
Yes, I can try to explain this. So each enemy has a value that we refer to as AP, and you can kind of think of it as the speed of that enemy. And so what that number actually refers to is the number of attacks that we can do before they will get their turn. There is some randomness to it in that if an enemy's AP is, say, 7, they can potentially roll a number slightly higher than that. I believe it's up to like 1.5 times their actual AP value. But we always assume kind of that it's going to be at whatever value it actually is. So we assume it's at the minimum. And so if we know that they have like one AP left, what we can actually do, what the game lets us do, is buffer 2 attacks together. So when Hobbes did the 3-3 at the end, he's actually putting those 2 attacks together, and so he will get to do both of those attacks even if Ketchup only had 1 AP left. So we call that stamina pushing when we go kind of beyond what their AP value would be to kind of get an extra attack in, and we take advantage of that a lot throughout the entire run.
Yeah, assuming we hit, it's
Yes.
one of the best ways to get not only like the maximum damage that we can, but also because we end up using 6 stamina to do the 3-3 attack, it also means that all of our other party members are getting basically 6 stamina back, depending on what their stamina refresh rate. Now, throughout the run, we tend to only use characters with a 1 or a 1.1 stamina refresh, so they pretty much get that same 6 stamina back.
Or more, yeah. It's actually a big part of why we do and don't use certain characters. So that stamina refresh value it's literally a stat that every character has, right? And because even
Draggy's
someone
the
very
best.
yes, Draggy is the best.
Draggy
Even
justified.
some otherwise very good characters, because they have bad stat refresh, we just can't really use them otherwise in the speedrun.
Yeah, even if they did more damage, like they would have to do significantly more damage to account for the less stamina that they get.
Helps with
So
the 4-guard fight.
yeah, so they both agreed earlier, like was mentioned, to not do guard skip, which is basically to skip the fight that Hobbes is in right now. It's not guaranteed. If you do go for it, it's not guaranteed to happen. So, but if you do get the skip, you get to dodge this fight. Excuse me, this fight, which Corporate had a 3-guard fight, which is kind of what you expect, and now Hobbes is getting a little punished by having 4 guards and some bad misses as well.
Quite a few misses, even.
Yeah. A pretty good chance you'll see at least one of the like element attacks from one of these guys. What's like Storm Blow or something like this.
Or
like
Acacia Blow, depending on which one does it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically just the dash and slash ability of Serge, but in yellow.
Right.
Which is actually quite impressive how many enemies seem to have this same dashing ability. I can tell you that I can't do it. Why can't I dash somebody with a...
I believe in you, Carbon. I think you could.
I'll have to learn how to glide.
Okay, so they only did, so this actually gets back to some of the randomness built into the game. Is that that last turn on Hobbes' side, they could have actually, the enemy could have used its elemental attack but didn't. So what the enemy script does can actually also, it's also random. So in that case, Hobbes could have seen the element attack, but he did still see just another physical attack.
Yeah, and now Hobbes is going to this statue where we would input a code, which is supposed to basically open those doors right there. But right now, it can be anywhere between a 1-1 and a 9-9 code. But even if you knew the numbers that you were going to get, you couldn't open that right now. The value's actually not set. So we see Corporate. He's about to actually go get the code. But he's also going to pick up the one and only revive that we get throughout this game. So now if someone does die, we can pick them. Woo!
Wow, that's a very good code.
That is the second best code you could get.
And it actually does matter pretty substantially. So each turn of the lock takes a little more than a second. So the difference between something like a 1-2 and like an 8-9, right, which would be the second worst, is over 15 seconds. It's a pretty big delta.
Yeah, and as our own community runner, Super Handy, likes to say, if you get like a 89 or a 99 code, it's great because you have time to go make a sandwich.
So it's interesting. So we saw that Corporate actually picked up the bronze sword here, which, ooh, he's having a little bit. There we go. Getting the menu delay. Chrono Cross's North American release has some pretty bad menu delays, which you saw there on Corp's side. So we pick up the bronze sword, not because we would use it, but because we can sell it. But actually, technically, for a run that's only going to go through the Lynx at Fort Dragonia fight, you actually don't really need that extra money. So that's either he's thinking about doing like a full any % run off of this, or it might just be like his built-in muscle memory, because he really probably doesn't need it if you wanted to skip it.
It's a fraction of a second loss. Just grab the thing, right?
It's actually about 3 seconds to pick up the sword, just between movement and like the text and whatnot. But it's in the grand scheme of things, it's not really that big of a deal. I actually think because they chose not to go for guard skip, I think he could have skipped it. But it really depends. I do think that Corp is probably considering taking this into any percent if the time is good.
Hmm.
So I think he doesn't want to really like, you know, train himself into not doing things that he would normally do.
Yeah, that's the muscle memory component, which makes
So, yeah.
sense.
So yeah, I mean, there are very slight optimizations that you can do for this, you know, abbreviated category, but it's probably better, especially for newer people that are interested in this game, to just learn the any percent route up to this point.
Oh, oh man, that was such a good start to the fight. He almost got away with only one attack from the bulbs.
Ooh, I wasn't actually looking, but yeah, if he was doing the early threes and got a crit, it's pretty close to kill. I think he's like 13 strength as well. So
he crit and killed the bolt. So the way that fight works is this is the first instance where we use a turn element. So we cast turn yellow on Serge. So you'll see it here on Hobbes' side coming up in a minute. We do that because we use turn elements a lot in this run because they allow us to make our character the opposite innate color of whomever we're attacking. And that has major implications for the damage that you do. It significantly increases it. And by casting a turn element, that puts an element color of the one that you just became on the field. So it really ups your damage values. What happened there is we start with Pierre casting a turn yellow on Serge, and then immediately Corporate attacked with a 3/3 to what Azala was talking about, the stamina pushing. He hit on both of them with a crit, which does enough damage to kill one of the bulbs before it gets a chance to attack at all. It's a really good start. So hopefully Hobbes gets something similar here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just a little bit more on turn elements. We saw the turn black in one of those salt and pepper fights, but this is our first time that we're actually going to use a turn element. And as you see, right, like we're now yellow against green, so we're doing 57s here with also 2 yellows on the field. You know, if we didn't have that, we'd be doing closer to like 25, 27, something like that. It's a significant difference.
Can one of you guys explain the difference between the male and female bulbs and what difference that makes in fighting or something? Because
yeah, 1 second. I'll answer that in just a second. So, also the other thing about the turns is that casually the game, if you do the tutorial with Radius in Arnie Village, it kind of gets you into the mindset to do, you know, 1, 2, 3 element, 1, 2, 3 element, and that's generally how you would play the game casually. And the speedrun, we just don't do that at all. Now to answer the question about the bulbs, these bulbs, the difference between a male and a female of all enemy types in this game is that the females have 5% less health. You know, you're gonna have to ask the devs why they did that.
Correct me if I'm wrong. It's because it's males get +5 and females get -5. So I think it's 10.
Yeah, there's like a baseline for each, and it's just -5 or +5 from that, depending on the gender.
That's new to me. I had always understood it as there's a base for the males, and then the females are just -5%. But either which way, right? The point is that the females have significantly less health than the males. And with these bulbs having about 170 health, you know, when you're, you know, 5% less, that's like puts it down to like 160 or something. And you know, when we're only doing 40s right there, you know, we kind of need as much help as we can get because these enemies are just a little bit too tanky, even though we have better weapons than we really, you know, are expected to have at this point in the game.
Yeah, and it sounds like it doesn't necessarily sound like a lot to talk about, like when we talk about like 20% or 5% or whatever. But you have to remember that the way that the speed run is structured, we're really kind of dancing on a razor's edge in a lot of ways, where we're trying to get the absolute minimum amount of things that we have to do aside from what we have to do to kill the enemies, right? So saying, oh, well, it's only 5 or 10% less, it's like, well, yeah, but if we have the ability to get like almost exactly that amount of damage, which is kind of the case, then it matters a lot when. So in that fight, you can
hold on,
kill outright. Go ahead.
So like if we don't actually kill on time, because I want to get to this and have Azala talk about this because we're about to go into the Marcy fight on Corp's side. But if we don't kill those bulbs on time and they get a turn, they get to do elements, and elements are just inherently slow, costing like 8 to 10 seconds, whereas just running up and doing attacks is about half that. So it's a lot of time loss if, you know, enemies get extra rounds. Azala, take it away.
Take away. Okay, we have CorporateImage getting into this fight with Marcy here, who's one of the more threatening bosses certainly in this part of the game. The reason for that is she has a couple HP triggers that we try to dance on the edge of. So the first one is at 50% of her health, which it looks like we'll be approaching shortly, and she's going to do a move called Cat's Cradle. It does a lot of damage. With luck, it won't kill anybody. But we have to kill her very quickly after that, because if we leave her get a turn to attack in critical health, she has an element called Ice Blast, which does a lot of damage, and it has a chance of freezing your character, leaving them unable to act. And she can do up to 2 of those. So very quickly, it can easily kill and disable one character or something like that. But it looks like we escaped. Corporate had a very clean fight there.
A really good fight by Corp.
Yeah, very clean. He got Marcy into critical health on the turn that
And
she
a
was going to
+2.
do Cat's Cradle, and a
So he-
+2.
15 strength,
And
and,
the
he
Ice
got the
Blast.
Ice Blast drop. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Marcy is definitely one of the scariest fights, especially for newer runners, because she just does so much damage, and if you're not careful about these health triggers, you're going to die or get frozen and not be able to kill her.
Yeah, I think that Marcy is probably the first fight. If you're learning the speed run, Marcy is the first fight where it's not just about losing time; it's about actually losing a run.
Mm-hmm.
We'll split for Corp. Nice. Yeah, I believe it. That was with a 1-2 code and a really good fight. I totally believe that.
Yeah. If actually, so oddly enough, I don't know he might have been slightly low on strength, but there is a chance that he could have killed Marcy with like an extra attack, but then if he doesn't, he's risking a high AP roll there, or so he did the discipline play to do the dash and slash. But if he was really lucky, he could have been able to skip that.
He also did the 1-2-2 defend with Kid at the start, so he was a little short on damage there as well.
Mm-hmm. But now Hobbes is going into that same fight, and I believe Hobbes he's either at the same 13 strength or maybe like at 12, which is a little lower. But we'll see how this one goes for him. And so he throws off the 3-3 because we don't know her starting turn. He got the hits.
He's got the same 13 strength.
He's going for the defense as well. Oh, he's not sure. Yeah. He might get cradled here. Okay, no. That's because of the Kid miss. And so that's actually the value of the defend. Kid got hit there, and she only took like 22 damage, which is still a lot. She's very low health right now. But if she was not defending, she easily could have died on that attack alone. So here comes the cradle. Hopefully it doesn't target Kid. It looks like it is. He might have to revive her. Or he could just... oof. Ooh! So his Kid went in with really low health early on. Had he healed her before, that would not have happened, because he was even defending to reduce that. So, oh no.
No.
He's got to defend. Okay, he's reviving.
Here we go.
So if he throws attacks now on her, oh, please don't do it. Okay, he's now defending. If basically he's not close enough to do damage to kill her, because on that second attack, he was going to throw her into crit, and then she would have ice blasted. She only does it on that 25% remaining health. So there he goes. Even though a little slow on the decision, he made the right call. Otherwise, she was going to get ice blasted. Good job.
Really quickly, because we've thrown the term out a couple of times, but I think Carbon just referenced it to clarify specifically. Critical health is when characters are on their last 25% of HP. That's when they will kind of like lean over or kneel over or whatever. You'll see their character model change, like position. And a lot of enemies have a special attack that they will do when they go into critical health. So we often try and set up a fight and kill them on the same turn that they go into critical health, so they can't do that special attack.
Yeah, exactly. And just the way the damage works out, right? His dash and slash, we saw it do 80 damage. ORC's critical health, 25%, is about 125, at most 125 health remaining. So if he had thrown that 3, she was guaranteed to go after. And his 3, she wasn't even in crit at that point, so she had more than 125. He was only going to do like 100 damage. So it was really important that he did that defend and then get the damage and then the element to kill. So he made the right call, even though it was slow.
Yeah. It is interesting. He actually was able to kill without having to use the element, the fireball from Kid, because the revive from Pierre actually puts an extra white on the field and increases the damage that Serge does. So, doing the revive and then defending was definitely the right play.
Yeah. And now Corporate's going into the Lynx fight, which is the next scariest fight. Ooh, and he starts off with a crit. Wow. Oh, and a super AP. Oh, wow.
Oh my gosh.
Oh boy.
Not really pushing it though.
Yeah, I would have, but it's okay. So Lynx has about 860 health, and he also has a trigger at critical health, which means it's about like I think 260 left offhand. And that's where he does a nostrum, which is a black consumable that heals him for 200 health. So he defended with Serge there. Good call. He still might have died. So Lynx's attack pattern is a 2 attack first, then 1 attack, and then he does 3. Now we can manipulate him a little bit and control him with this pilfer that Corp's about to do.
For a high roll here.
But if Serge had gotten hit even through a defend on that attack, on that 3 attack turn, he could have died.
But instead, he attacked Pierre and missed twice because Pierre's just that good.
Is a dodgy boy. So this is actually really good. So what happens? Lynx has an interesting AI where when he goes into critical health, will use a nostrum on the next turn that he gets, unless he has a required.
There's Pierre
For the win. Look at that.
That is the last time we'll use Pierre, and he did the most important thing. He took out the big bad.
Sub 56 Lynx 1 for Corp here on a relay. That's really good.
Yeah, without guard skip as well. Yeah. Very good.
That's Pierre's second kill, I believe.
That's right.
Also,
Pierre doing work.
We didn't talk about it because Hobbes was in the Marcy fight and Corp was just in the Lynx fight. They both had to go through guards beforehand. I think Hobbes had another 4 guard fight, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, I didn't quite see, but I thought I saw 4 guards on one of the screens, which is just more time loss, just because it's more enemies to kill. So, Corporate is actually kind of going to like maybe about 20 minutes of downtime, kind of going through some plot stuff, which there is some very important stuff coming up on his text soon, but Hobbes is getting into this big bad fight as well, so let's hope it goes well for him. I believe he's still 13 strength where Corp was 15.
Yeah, well, Corp was definitely 15 because he got the +2 off Marcy.
Yeah,
they both got the, wow. They both got the.
Oh man.
They both got the good AP start and both didn't really push it.
Yeah. Very interesting.
Which can kind of make this awkward a little bit.
Yeah, actually, if you it looks like you got another super AP there.
You did. That's a really, really high one.
Yeah, odd choice not to be doing 3-3s on these stamp pushes. But it's okay. I think he's just trying to get through it to script. So one of the things, oh my God, he got it again.
Dude. That's 3 straight rolls of at least an 8+. Like he rolled at least a 7 on the first turn and then at least a 10 on the next 2.
Yeah. So just math's sake, he was doing a kid 1-1, then Lynx was going, and he has a minimum of 8, I believe. So he then threw a 3-3 with, well, he did I think a 2-2 or something, which is 4, and then he threw 3-3s again, which that's 10. So that means this guy like rolled really high to go. So it is making his stamina a little weird.
You can also see how dangerous Lynx is because that damage that he did on Serge there, that was 1 turn because he got a crit in.
Yeah, so he really does not want his Serge to die, so he's doing this dash and slash here. But he's also missing out on a lot of damage now because of it. Because that dash and slash pushed Lynx into crit, which is where he would do the nostrum, but because we did this element that he's going to respond to, in this case it's an anti-white, on the pilfer he does an imbecile. He will now no longer do that nostrum. So we don't have to worry about him healing, but
Scary.
yeah. Serge should kill on this turn if he hits. Yeah.
Got him.
You had to put that out in the universe though. The if.
This is Chrono Cross, man. You know,
Exactly.
good stuff by Hobbes. Still sub 60 minutes on a Lynx one. Very good. Some pretty unfortunate stuff. I'm sure he's not too pleased with it, but you know, he survived some very dangerous fights and some very scary situations.
When Lynx attacks Serge with that 3 attack, Serge not dying honestly is like as it's as good as you can hope for there, really.
Yeah, one of the things that I think AzraelHobbes and I have been discussing recently is normally we do a pilfer after that 3rd turn attack because that's the turn that we would push into critical health. But recently I've been trying to like kind of ascertain whether it's better to do it earlier after the first one, so that way when we do that pilfer and he responds with the element, it will also reset his attack pattern, so he'll go down to that 2 attack instead, which if Serge hasn't been hit before, it's pretty important because even at full health, Serge can die on that 3 turn attack whether he's undefended or not. So and you know, with the way the fight normally goes, we're throwing 3 3s and stand pushing at the end, so we can't defend him. So just kind of thoughts to try to make the fight a little safer, but you know, the best safety in this fight is just to kill Lynx as quickly as you can.
And I think that speaks to, and we're kind of now in sort of longer cutscenes for both Corporate and Hobbes here. I think that speaks to sort of the state of Chrono Cross as a speedrun game on the whole, which is that we've seen a lot of, you know, like, it's great because even though the game's been run for a while and it's had a lot of really, really great runners and really great tech, it's still evolving now. Like, we're still finding and adjusting strategies. People are still coming up with new ways that are either faster or are more consistent. So like that's what Carbon's describing is a perfect example of this may be faster or not, but also the ability to like keep you from having something really bad happen, which in this game is in some ways more important because of how easily things can go sideways. So it's really cool kind of watching the game continue to evolve and the approach continue to evolve, even given the fact that there was an immense amount of great work done on it, even leading up to where it is today.
Yeah, and I guess on that note, right, huge shout outs to all the like initial runners of this game who kind of paved the path for runners like myself, PH, and Azala to even come in and not only like get good times, because when I started, everyone was shooting for sub 7. You know, this game has been pushed now into people can almost, you know, with practice get that. And so now, you know, people are looking at sub 650 as the new sub 7. So this game is really being pushed.
Unless you're Carbon, in which it's sub 640, because Carbon, I'm gonna lift you up here a little bit.
Okay.
So
Let's
Carbon is the one who has. So they're currently the world record is 636 by Connor Cordell. It was an amazing run, but only one other runner has gotten a sub 640. That's Carbon, and Carbon has 4 of them, which is astonishing to have that level of consistency at that speed. So I want to give you a little bit of props here, my friend, because you deserve them.
Thank you. I just reset too much. But yeah, a lot of that's this game is when you end up going that fast, it's a lot of fun. You know, when things really come together and the game just kind of, you know, does, as you're mentioning, doesn't kind of do those things that you're really trying to avoid in the bad sense. Because a lot of this game is kind of like the game not really like giving you really critical misses at important times, or not having like we saw with Hobbes, he got such high AP rolls over that minimum that, you know, it kind of enables him to go for strategies to push more damage consistently, though we don't expect that. But things like that really help you go fast because you're reducing the number of rounds in a fight, you're increasing your damage per round, and a lot of that is it's luck based.
Corporate just passed through another very important milestone. You go to the clinic. Lynx was throwing a dagger at Riddle, but Kid took the dagger for her. Ends up she's sick, and then the doctor's like, "Hey man, I can't do anything. I'm gonna catch some waves. Bye." And he goes out the door, and then you get tasked and says, "Oh, do you want to take this 1 in a zillion chance to save Kid?" You have to say, "Nah,
Yeah, of course not.
of course not."
That's too slow.
Yeah, it's too slow. It takes a 20-minute side quest. Who wants to do that? So,
Our doc is significantly better than Chrono Cross's doc because Chrono Cross's doc is frankly a pretty terrible doctor. He's just like, you know what? I think she's sick. I'm sad. I'm gonna leave. He just walks off. So Doc Cobran's significantly better than Doc no last name in the game.
I'm actually a professor kind of doctor, so mad scientist type. I guess
There
it'd
you
be more like Lucia in this game.
Did you create the bulbs?
Yes, I created the bulbs.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
casually
Sorry.
speaking, the if you do go save Kid, we end up getting Korcha into the party, and we go on that quest to go find a Hydra, which they're extinct in this world. So we have to, it's kind of the first that the game teaches us about kind of switching between universes or worlds, between our home world where we were born and then this world where we died 10 years ago. And that's when we come back. But like the way that the developers made this game, Kid, as much as they try to force her into your party, is perfectly fine without our help. So not only do we get to save the time of not doing all those side quests and putting Korcha into our party, and also if we did do that side quest, we would not get access to one of the best characters in the game in Glenn. So it's just a win-win-win-win-win-win to not help Kid at all.
In game
Yeah.
universe, it turns out that Norris, the character from later on, happens to bring a Hydra humor from the mainland where the Hydras aren't extinct. So that's how Kid gets saved if you don't. So there you go.
This is definitely the be mean to Kid route, and there's actually the Chrono Cross speedrun community in Japan is also pretty substantial, and they actually have like events and like a board separately, or like a leaderboard timing separately for the be nice to Kid route, where you have to actually say yes when she asks you to do things. You don't do that.
Yeah.
We're mean.
And actually, and kind of tying that in, right? When we do any percent and not this abbreviated Lynx 2%, is that's also the good ending, which whether you help Kid or not actually has no impact on whether you get the good ending or not. It's only whether or not you use the Chrono Cross in the final fight. So
Yeah, and we do so. The NA community, not running on the Japanese discs, uses the good ending because the difference in timing between the good ending and the bad ending, where you just fight and beat the Time Devourer, the last boss, is pretty slim. It's I forget exactly what it is, but I think it's like a minute or less. The Japanese speedrunning community uses different timing rules. So for us, we start the clock, as you saw today, when they hit enter on the name screen. The Japanese speedrun community starts the clock on console on, stops the clock at the fin screen. So it's actually, by doing the good ending, there's like a long cutscene that you have to watch that they get to skip. So it's much faster to do the bad ending for the Japanese speedrun timing.
yeah, a lot of if we were to do that same timing method, a lot of it kind of would just be in that end, just cutscene, which it's great music. Which I think most people, when they finish a Chrono Cross run, listen to the end of the game and go to that fin anyway, just because the music just makes everything that you've just gone through worth it. It just all the kind of pent up energy and kind of like frustrations that you may or may not have, like they just get released when you go through that section of music.
Corporate has just finished up Plot Village, and now he's moving to Plot Termina. So,
Yeah, this is actually for this category, this is also one of the only major purchasing sections we have. We're gonna kind of stock up on some elements, some healing items. We're also going to increase, like we mentioned earlier, we're going to be now getting Glenn, and we're also going to be using Lena in our party. So we're going to increase their weapons for more damage on their attacks and also better hit percent. So we're just basically stocking up to go to the end of this category.
And when we
Go ahead, Doc, sorry.
Oh, okay. I was just saying, when we put Lena and Glenn in our party this time, we're going to be paying attention to Serge's strength as well as Glenn's strength and Lena's magic. You do have a little bit of time to build up Lena's magic before it becomes really important, but Lena's magic stat can make a big difference in these runs, especially toward the end. Right, Azala?
Yes.
Zala knows firsthand.
I know this very well.
Oh, that was unfortunate. But yeah, so we're basically going after Lynx after he threw that dagger at Riddell and Kid, because we're still trying to get the Frozen Flame and take us, back to our real world and whatever. So. But there will be a section, like the next kind of boss and kind of section is after we do this shopping is going to be a ghost ship before we even kind of get to tracking down Lynx, and that's going to be probably one of the most technical movement sections in this game that we have. There's what's kind of known as a ghost dance, which for newer runners don't really recommend doing it because it takes a bunch of practice, but it is probably the most technical movement that we have to avoid a fight. And it's also going to be one of the biggest RNG sections in this game, because there can be what's known as 3 keys, and so if you get any number of them, first key, second, or third, you the difference between each one is about a minute. So the difference between a first and a third key is roughly 2 minutes. So, kind of much like what happened with Azala and Hobbes. If, I hope this doesn't happen to anyone, I want first key for everyone. If
you need that disclaimer this time.
He's doing it. He's doing it again.
I'm saying it the exact same way I said it last time. If Corporate gets third key and Hobbes gets first, they should be leaving around the same time. So
this could be another repeat of the situation the other day.
Man, if this is another Hobbes with like a early deficit into like a first key like comeback, he's just gonna be the comeback kid.
This stance is not that hard, to be honest. Entering the door after successful go and stance is. So Daffy is referencing something that you may or may not have noticed, but the doors in Chrono Cross have kind of wonky hitboxes, and the doors you'll see on the Ghost Ship have very wonky hitboxes. So we'll address that a little bit more when we get there, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on. It's not guaranteed.
Well, we're about to find out as Corp recruits Glenn into his party now what stats we end up with for Glenn and Lena. So this is always like a bit of a tense moment when you're running. You're just hoping that you don't get poor stats here, because that can kind of make the next section kind of rough.
Yeah, actually, in I believe it was the race against from Silver and Rom just yesterday. I believe Rom had like a really low strength Serge, but a really high strength Glenn. So, funny thing is like after the Ghost Ship section, Serge doesn't really matter as much. We end up using Glenn as our primary damage dealer. A 14 strength Glenn from Corporate, that's it's a little suboptimal. He's supposed to average around 15 or 16, so he's just shy of that, but it's not too big of a worry. He shouldn't be short on damage, especially with a 15 strength Surge, but it is important that he gains stat increases though. If he starts missing these, he will fall behind in kind of the expected fights.
And you'll notice that he put Matcha in there in the party for a second, and that's actually not a mistake. That is intentional. If you don't, Matcha walks off to the side of the screen, jumps off, and swims back to her island home, which is objectively hilarious but really slow. So we actually put her in the party temporarily.
Yeah, and Corporate's going to Marbule, the land of the demi-humans, and he's grabbing a bunch of turn elements. He's getting our first status increasing elements in Strength and Revive, Genius, and Weak-Minded. And so these we're gonna.
He picked up an Eagle Eye too.
Yes, also an Eagle Eye. And you know how we talked about we were missing a lot before. Well, Eagle Eye is our way to try to prevent that. Eagle Eye, once used, increases our accuracy to 99% for all attacks. So it doesn't guarantee that we're going to hit, but you're very likely. I think every runner has at one point in time missed a 99% attack.
Yeah.
At the worst possible moment.
It doesn't make the hits guaranteed, but it does guarantee you feel bad when they miss.
Oh man, good menu from Corp. That was he paused like a tiny bit in 1 second. That was very clean. That was very fast.
Yeah, Corp always is he's, in my opinion, I think he's Mr. Consistent.
Yeah.
Like all of his movement, all of his menus, they might not be like extremely pushed to like the fastest and most optimal, but he does them so well. You almost never see a mistake out of it. So he's a really good runner.
I think he's really a computer or something, robot maybe.
A suited robot.
Yes.
For those of you who don't know, corporate wears a suit every time he streams. He's much classier than most of us.
Well, he is the inheritor of Connor Cordell, so there you go.
Was also much classier than most of us. Okay, so we'll see the stats that Hobbes gets here on Glenn and Lena. So as Carbon actually pointed out way back when, he left Lena at 11 magic on Hobbes' side. So that increases the chance that she's better when we get her back here. So for Hobbes to make up some of this time, if he gets really good stats on Glenn and Lena, that could also help make up some of the gap.
I don't think we mentioned it earlier, but in the Lynx fight, they both did get the magic ring, so there's no deficit there on their Lena stats.
Good point, yeah.
A 16
16
from
nice.
Hobbes. Yeah. Paige, you did talk about the matcha thing earlier, right? I think I heard that.
Yes, just a bit. Just the best.
It's a great cutscene.
Yeah.
Hobbes has not added Lena to his party yet. I guess he's going to do it after the purchase.
Very rude of him not to think about us and our ability to talk about his stats.
I know.
Yeah, he must know we're dying to know right now.
So Corp got into the first encounter of the ghost ship. It's actually one that you can run away from. Fargo basically is like, hey, we have to test your worth if you're really going after Lynx. And he throws, 3 fights at us, these zombie things, this giant bird, Polly, which is honestly the most troll fight ever, even though it should be, like, free.
13 for Hobbes on Lena.
Pretty good. So actually, oh wow, his Serge and Lena's health are actually pretty low. So him getting this Ice Blast is very important for safety reasons, not only damage. But even still, they might die.
I think usually it's like, I think Lena takes like 105 on a flap once you get the field fully blue, but a high roll would still kill her for sure.
Yeah, I've seen like 110 plus on like rare occasion, so hopefully he survives this, but this is scary. 99.
99.
Okay.
Oof. Yeah, so if she had like less health or less magic defense, she really could die there. It's so important that we get the field 3 blue just to prevent like that flap from killing Lena. because then you have to do a revive and a bunch of other stuff, and it ends up being slow. But fortunately, she survived the hit.
Yeah.
And good fight. Only one flap, very expected. If you're really lucky, you can get a no flap fight, which always feels great, but you don't really expect that. You expect a one flap.
Ooh. That was a not great level up there
Mm-mm.
in that poly fight.
But we do get another chance right after with Fargo himself.
Yeah, and what you're going to see is we're going to do a strengthen and a turn red, and then hopefully Serge gets to attack. Fargo's going to attack us, and then he will do a strengthen himself, even though Fargo is technically a blue innate. So it'll just add more red onto the field, allowing us to do more damage. So
Really good starting AG there. Yeah, also a bad dude. What is up with Corp's Surge? He just will not get health. And is now 123. His Surge is 111. That's super low. That's correct.
yeah, that's a good pick. I don't know, but you actually saw Serge. So as we do these attacks, like every time we hit, we're increasing our accuracy. Corp missed a 94% 3 at the end there, which was, those feel just as bad as the 99% misses.
Yeah, but then he got a good. He got pretty lucky at the end there. He got a nice high roll from Fargo. So normally Fargo would have done another physical attack there. It's not super slow, but he would have run up and just poked somebody.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, so Fargo's not normally not dangerous, but I forget. Azali, I mean, I hate to do this, but you've had it happen.
Yes.
Is it the 4th turn or is it the 5th turn? He will do a carnivore, which is a massively strong
Yeah.
AoE attack that can poison you if it doesn't outright kill you. So Fargo's not supposed to be scary, but if you get bad misses, really low damage, it can be.
And it is random too. He's not guaranteed to use it after the 4th turn, but I believe he gets the chance to use it every turn after that. I don't know if it relies on some field effect either, because I've only had it happen once, but it's not fun.
you're just lucky.
Yeah, you should never see it, but you do have to be a little cautious that it can happen. So
So Corp is now going into the.
oof, ooh, Hobbes is Lena's health. If
Yeah.
hopefully she has more magic defense than Corpse, because if she same thing, and she'll eat a 99.
Lena's
Oh!
starting at 8.
Ooh.
Yeah, shame on that miss. So I think if she had hit that,
Oh my gosh.
holy cow!
If he had actually hit some of those, that's the
Oh,
recipe
no.
for not seeing flap.
Oh.
Yeah.
Lena.
That's so rough. Yeah, I think if he hit that
that's-
first one, he might
There
have
we go.
killed.
It's the 105.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what we're talking about. Even sometimes with just the full blue, like this is why Lena's health is so important. And remember, she lived with 1 health for Hobbes at that salt and pepper fight very early on. So, really unfortunate that he got that miss. May have been able to kill Polly before that flap.
Yeah, because she killed him with the Aqua.
So, hopefully, I think he has element levels to heal. She should be able to survive a Fargo hit, but hopefully, yeah, just heal her up.
Corporate doing his ghost dance. You have to talk to that guy twice to just get him to move out of the way. There he goes.
Yeah, Corp with some
Go
clean
in.
movement. He, oh, scary right there. But so he passed the guy that he was supposed to talk to on the second time. Didn't quite get to talk to him while passing. One of the things that makes it really scary, doing the ghost dance, is like getting caught like on the guy's butt and kind of getting stuck, so that way you get the encounter that you're trying to dodge, or just never being able to talk to him while you pass. But Corp with some very clean movement, a good ghost dance.
Hobbes
All right.
on the Fargo fight didn't get quite as good of a start, unfortunately. So he's basically a turn behind where Corporate was at the same point.
And so Corp's also on the section where now we're looking for that key RNG. So he's doing what's known as the first key fight, even though it's technically the second in the, I guess, the sequence of fights that you would have to do if you were to check all of them. But we do this one first because it gives us the most money on average. And we also have to grab this chest, which contains 5 panaceas, which you don't really get panaceas otherwise. So not first key for him, but he's definitely good on money, and now he's got those panaceas. So now he's backtracking to go to the second key spot.
I think he probably would have been. I think he probably would have been good on money anyway, because he got the iron dagger and the bronze sword.
Yeah, probably. And I don't know if he's gonna do it. I know Hobbes in his last race did. He skipped buying one of the big money items because it's not really needed for this category in the diminish. But I don't think he'll make that same. Well, he might do it this time because he probably won't continue this into any percent like he tried last time. But
Hobbes won't or corporate won't?
Hobbes probably will not.
Yeah, I agree. I think corporate might. I think corporate has set up for it.
Yeah, I think so as well. I mean, he's right now 40 seconds ahead of, I don't know, whatever he's comparing against, which is a 6:45, which is a good pace. So
This is PB, yeah.
All right, Carbon, you didn't completely curse Corp with your third key imaginings. Corp got second key, so.
Also, so we talked about the ghost dance. Corp's also coming up against the other bit of technical movement, which is this section of dodges. He's got to dodge this beat, which he did nicely. Then he's got to dodge some ghosts that come out as he goes towards this ladder. Normally it's not too hard, but you do have to be kind of precise. Otherwise, this ghost, as you go down the ladder, can encounter you. These guys you also have to be a little clean with. And then this is a little Frogger section that Corp was practicing earlier. These guys can just shunt you, and looks like he got it pretty free.
No. Oh no, sorry. I thought Hobbs got caught for a sec. I don't think he's there yet.
No, that's the first runaway.
Yeah, I thought he got. I looked over at corporates during the escape sequence.
Yep. So Corp is now going to be able to go into the fight to leave the ghost ship, and Hobbes is now starting his key section, which he just talked to that door. And if you do not talk to that door, you have to come back and talk to it. You can't even start the key quest until you talk to it. So.
Yeah, so there is something called fourth key as well. That is if you actually start talking to all these guys without talking to the guy on the far right on Hobbes' screen, you can actually force that guy to have the key, which is not great, but technically would be the same for everyone. So yeah. Some people have talked about saying, well, we should just all do fourth key. It's like, no thanks.
Yeah, Hobbes was struggling to talk to the guy the second time, but you know, he still was able to avoid the encounter, which is really the goal. So
you saw there at the end, he actually, so that's the thing we were talking about with the doors, is he was walking as he tried to open the door because it prevents you from going across the hitbox, which is really important.
Yeah, you can also get completely just messed up, like with a door not opening for you, even though you're like slamming your face into it. So there's a couple of tricks to like help you, but sometimes they just don't always work. So good that no one got the encounter after the fact.
Corporate entering the next boss fight, the Deadhead.
Alright, no first key for Hobbes.
Right, maybe they will both get second.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah,
I think this is the first use of Eagle Eye in the run that we're seeing over on corporate side.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ooh.
Crit.
This Deadhead fight is also interesting because we'll see Lena is going to be doing a Cure Plus on the enemy here. I think this is the only time that we do it in the run, but because he's like an undead guy, this will actually do damage.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Okay, well, I spoke too soon.
So it's a good thing that So he did get a crit early in the fight, so he might be okay. So that's one of the dangers. This happens a lot to like, especially learning this fight. Like when you try to go fast, it's just a double left or a double right to go onto Deadhead with the Cure Plus, but sometimes you just put that X button in a little too soon and you accidentally cure your party when you meant to kill Deadhead. So he might be saved by this crit, but we'll see.
Second key for Hobbes as well.
Okay, good second key for Hobbes. No super RNG issues, but yeah. So normally he would die before this Dark Breath, but just missing a little bit of damage. I guarantee you a 2 would do it. Okay, a double 2. My guarantees are worth nothing.
I believe Carter.
This is why I'm not a financial advisor.
The moon.
If he was, his recommendation would just be always 3.
Lena got an important magic there.
Yeah, Corp is he's not getting good stat increases. Is his Glenn's what, 15 now?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, it's a little low. I mean, you can make things work, but it might be a little slow. Yeah, so Hobbes just there, he skipped that chest in there. Normally we pick it up. It's the only chest in the game that you can actually pick up and still move while kind of grabbing the item. And what that is a photon beam, which is I think it's a level 3 white element that does really good damage, and they kind of intend for you to have used it against Deadhead there. In any percent we use it later, which is why it's important to grab. But for this percent, Hobbes is not going to be continuing that, so he skips it.
Corp, of course, has left himself open to continue this run, because this seems like a pretty good run time-wise for him. So,
yeah, and he did just buy the Magnify and the Diminish. The Magnify is the only one that we'll see up through the end of the race here, but the Diminish is important to have later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he still might equip it as a placeholder during this menu.
That's convenient for that because it's a higher level
and muscle memory. So.
Yeah. Ooh, that would have been bad.
Yeah, Corpse Muscles just got a little too excited there with that Deadhead heal. So
Almost forgot to do the Magnify Panacea on Glenn. That would have been not great.
Yeah, I think he was just trying to go a little too fast. He might be a little, maybe a little upset that he accidentally cured Glenn. It's really important, especially for long runs like this, to just not let those little mistakes bother you, which is not something I'm good at.
I mean, you kind of expect to make at least 1 or 2 small mistakes throughout the course of the 7-hour run, but it can be very difficult to kind of let it go after they happen.
Exactly. Yeah, you're just like, oh, this is so dumb. Why? And in the grand scheme of things, it's like it's just not a big deal. Like, yeah, you could have done it better, but realistically, it's like, nah.
Here's another tutorial. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
That's fine. I was just gonna say it's things that we've done so often, but there's so many of them, which is why it feels so painful. But it's like you'll probably make a minor mistake.
Yeah, it's really hard. Like Ash has always said this, where it's like the biggest thing about this run is just not making mistakes, and over the course of the run, it's just you're almost guaranteed to make a mistake or 2, or more. So
yeah,
it's
so
just
sorry. Go ahead, Doc.
As long as we're entering to a tutorial with salt and pepper. This one is about trap elements. They're going to show you how to use them. So we kind of have to wait for all of them to use them before we can actually damage them. But at least... Oh, W's in chat.
Meanwhile, get your W's ready.
Yeah,
longest
I'm not gonna do the whole thing. I'll spare everybody.
Well, we get to do it one more. So
I count them all out.
PH, how many W's are in that text?
You know, I honestly don't know. I should. I'm embarrassed to admit, I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm very surprised you haven't counted them. Are there
Well, the problem is the last few actually go really fast. It's like at the end. So.
Yeah. Well, I think there's 112,358 W's in there.
That sounds right.
Sounds about right.
Good enough estimate.
Maybe total across all of our runs.
Ooh, that's a
That was
really good crit.
big. That was
Yeah.
huge. So corporate should do the normal. So we actually have 2 strats here: a normal strat and a crit strat. He should actually do the normal strat with the crit because he would have been short on damage otherwise.
Yeah, he's still probably gonna have to see do a dash and gash against Pepper, but now he doesn't. I don't know how you do your crit strat, or not crit strat, but normally at this value I would bush bash Salt here, but because he got the crit, there was no need to.
Right. Exactly. That's the problem is that like normally Salt would survive, so that those last 2 attacks Glenn did, normally his damage wouldn't have been high enough to kill. But because he had the critical, it gave him the extra. Ooh, and Serge's magic is kind of low too.
Little bit, yeah. I wonder if this is going to be enough. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So if he actually didn't do that one,
yeah.
oof.
Yeah. What are you thinking? The 3/3 dash and gash?
Yeah, that would have done it. He would have been able to skip that turn, and I'm actually surprised he's not reviving Glenn.
I think
wonder
Glenn
if he
has to
meant to.
revive.
Yeah, he should have moved it over to Serge.
Yeah, no, he moved it to Serge for this section.
Yeah. So I tend to keep the revive on Glenn, so if that happened to me, he's just down. But not giving himself a chance for that strength is a bit.
Especially with his strength kind of being a little bit below average to begin with.
Right.
So that does open the door a little bit for Hobbes here, who had a clean deadhead fight as well.
Yeah.
So he probably picked up a little bit of time there. And we'll see if he has a clean fight here. He might pull back a little bit of time as well on that.
Yeah, and normally Glenn is not supposed to die there. I mean, that's a part of, one, just really bad targeting, but also, like, Glenn is green and Salt and Pepper are yellow, so they're naturally just opposing each other and doing more damage.
The surprise is that they just kept attacking Glenn. That was the thing.
Yeah. But yeah, he also didn't get lucky with an extra AP, I think. So 'cause I think if he just did that 3/3 dash and gash, he was safe. But
All right, so now Corp is fighting the Fire Dragon as Hobbes gets into his tutorial fight. The Fire Dragon is an extremely scary fight. This guy is fast, he hits hard, he has a bunch of health. On top of all that, he's a reanimate.
sorry.
And just 1 AP to...
Gosh, that's scary.
Yeah. So he has a 6 AP, which he's very fast, just super fast. And so for him to go right there after the first attack, we're gonna see if he's gonna try to risk the high roll. Because he did do the Eagle Eye, which, I mean, I don't think he's going to throw this with an attack without this turn blue, so he's hoping for a +1 on this.
Got it.
And he got it.
Ooh, big. Because with Glenn as weak as he is, he's already missing damage, so...
Yeah. Fire Dragon has a lot of health, he has a lot of resistances, and he does a lot of damage. And he's really fast, so he's definitely one of the scariest fights is if you can't just pump out damage as quickly as possible.
Now this Cure Plus on Serge is actually on purpose.
Yeah.
So Hobbes also actually just got a crit on Salt. But he's a little bit better on the stats. Let's see what he does. Let's see if he goes for the normal crit strat here.
Let's see if... Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's going to do it.
Huh.
Not enough.
No.
He was a little short on damage because his Glenn is still not super strong. He did like 100.
Wow.
It's very close, though.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand going for that. I mean, with Salt being in crit and having a high magic Lena, yeah, it's a shame that Bushbasher didn't kill Salt, but it looks like Corp also did not do the Magnify Genius. It looks like he just threw the Ice Blast and this Aqua Ball, so I guess he's probably expecting this Aqua Ball to get the kill, but it looks like his stats are a little too low, so we'll see. He might need to do like 100 damage or something.
Yeah, we mentioned earlier during the story segment in Goldove about the run kind of continuously evolving. Fire
wow.
Dragon is one of those fights where there's
Oh
a
my
bit of
gosh.
variation between the runners that you'll see.
Wow, he hit for like 24 and then 63. This is why Fire Dragon can be so scary. So that's a fire
Okay,
breath,
cool.
which is a lot of damage,
Yeah.
but 36. Yeah, that's about 100 damage, right? So even though he's like in crit, like, and you're like, oh my god, he's almost dead. It's still a lot of health you have to get through, and you just don't do as much as you think because like the Eagle Eye wears off, kind of early on, and so does the turn blues, which also then reduces your damage. So he survived
out
it.
of-
That's the important thing.
Right out of one fight into the next one.
Did Hobbes forget to heal?
I hope not, but he might have.
Whoop. A little
Oh
worried
man,
for-
man,
little
there's
worried
two
he's
things
got
to look
heal.
at. So Corpse is gonna come into like one of the brawliest fights ever. If it goes well, it goes really well. If it goes poorly, it goes really poorly. So what he's looking to do is set up a strengthen on Glenn, and then X strike kill Marcy instantly. And then he's gonna try to kill Zoa. So let's see if he gets that. And then on Hobbs' screen, we're looking to get this one Eagle Eye off before Fire Dragon attacks.
Hobbs is healed up, so we're good there.
He's fine. He's fine.
Good.
He
Yeah,
got a
if-
good start.
He did get a good start, which Corp did not. If Hobbs had forgotten to heal before the fight, he would have to run twice before he could heal. Unless, well, I guess technically
Well,
he could get levels and then run away and
Yeah.
heal post battle. But
As long as nobody died, he would only have to do it once.
yeah,
I think Hobbes' Glenn is actually pretty bad. I feel like his damage is really low relative. It was basically about the same as Corpse.
I think it's like 17 or 18-ish, maybe a little, maybe 16 or 17, because he did 50 on his first attack, which is pretty good. 270 kill on Mercy. It's a little low.
Yeah. Surge
Yes,
and
today.
Glenn are both bad. I think.
Oh.
Ooh, he had a
Surge-
bad surge miss, which is why he had to do that 3-3, which guarantees this Geronimo. You're really trying to skip that. It's not because it's like super dangerous, but it is slow. I mean, it does do a ton of damage, so someone could die, but... But if Glenn hits, Zoa should die.
It's a little scary too, because now Lena or Serge could both bite it.
Oh my god, his Glenn is so weak.
Yeah, they're both pretty bad. Here, for this fight, you hope that you're not going to see more than one Zoa attack at all. Seeing a second one is kind of unfortunate. Seeing 3 is usually pretty bad.
Yep. Oh my god.
Oh no, that is
I'm actually surprised he's not heal-alling right now.
Okay, so Hobbs is just less than 3 minutes behind going into the Divas fight. Corp had that at 139.20. Hobbs finishing Fire Dragon. Hobbs had it at like 142.10.
That is such a weak.
Oh man, he
oh
is,
man,
he
and
is
a
hoping
miss.
that Glenn gets hit.
Oh no.
Surge down. It's okay. He can actually kind of leave him down. Surge doesn't really matter. You do kind of care for his magic, but for any percent, yeah, you don't really care about him. And Surge has his revive, so he has to leave him down now. So this is what I was talking about, how this fight, when it goes wrong, it goes really wrong.
In other words, you cursed him, Carbon.
yes.
I hope. I'm sorry, Corporate. I didn't mean to.
At least Lena got another magic.
Oh my god, his Glenn is still 16.
Yeah.
So now that this fight's done, Corporate is... There's 2 fights at the end, the final 2 fights of this category, that we need Glenn for, but in between there's what? 1, 2, there's 5. There's 5 extra star level fights, so he has chances to gain stats. And while he's been missing a lot of +1s, he has chances, especially now that he's like kind of behind the times, he can get +2s.
I'm worried that Hobbs is not going to have enough damage here. No, he's fine. Okay. They got levels.
So, otherwise, Corp might have a really weak Glenn at the end.
Yeah, he could be short on Viper and Lynx in a big way.
But his Lena looks to be good. I didn't actually catch the number, but if she's around 15 at this point, you're sitting pretty.
Nice.
I didn't, yeah. Words good.
He does at least have a magic ring, so.
Okay, so you can see on Hobbes' side that that's how you want the fight to start, is when Glenn does that 3-3, it takes out Zoa there. So we only saw one attack from Zoa. We didn't even see the Geronimo.
Yeah, where Corp had Chrono and an extra attack, so.
Okay.
And I think he has enough stats to also kill Karsh on this. He might have to do a 1 before a 3-3, but he should kill.
Ooh, just short.
Yeah, it's so close. Within 10
Look at start on the Dragoon fight on corporate side, though. That's getting like a really good AP start. He got the Magnify up and Lena up to level 5 before the Dragoon's first turn, which is really nice.
Yeah, that's also really important because if the Dragoon goes earlier before you get, even before you get Lena levels, he throws a red on the field, which reduces the damage that all of your blue elements will do, which basically means you have to do an extra element as well, which on top of it doing an element. So it might not seem like a lot, but it can be like 20 seconds. So not dead. Wow.
Yeah, I think his thing is good, just not like super good. There we go.
His Surge might be really low.
I think his Surge's magic is pretty bad, yeah. And
15
wow,
and 10.
It's pretty. Well, it's not terrible.
What does he start at? Like 6 or something? I think 6.
6 or 7, I can't remember.
Serge.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's his magic starts at 7 actually.
Oh. So that Dragoon fight, it gives us access to this element, our first summon of the game called Frog Prince, which is a blue element that requires, all summons require the field to be fully the color of that summon. So Frog Prince being blue requires 3 blues on the field before it can be used, but it does a ton of damage. Also, as part of a prereq, it requires that whoever uses it to have the same color as well, which is why we have Lena. Go figure.
Oops. He didn't do the Magnify.
No, it's good. He's going to do it now.
Okay, there we go. Ooh,
so
okay.
It's actually better that he delays because he got the AP. If he threw that Magnify and the Dragoon went, basically it's just slightly better to do it this way.
Yeah. No, it's you're absolutely right. It's just I haven't seen him do that structure. I thought he used the old notes had the Magnify come out first.
Yeah, I mean, even in my notes I say to do that, but I know not to do that if I get more than 4. So if he has stronger magic on his Surge and Lena, this Ice Blast should kill.
I think he's going to be... So his Lena has a little less magic, and he didn't do the level 4 Aqua Ball. He did a level 1.
Yeah, that would do it.
There we go. Still a good fight. They both actually had really, really good Dragoon fights.
Yeah.
Skipping Acacia Breath on both sides is really nice.
Yeah, that Acacia Breath, on top of, like, we talked about the damage, it can also burn one of your party members, which there's a fight coming up where if you're burned, it reduces your damage. Nice movement, Hobbes. And it just increases the damage that you take, which can be very scary on a couple fights.
Yeah, I'm laughing because I got that yesterday.
The burn?
Yeah, burn into dead.
Yeah, I think Azala had it in his race as well. So
yes,
no.
I did.
Yeah. That's right. You were talking about it. You were like, oh yeah, I've seen that. It's like,
yeah.
Well, damn.
So we do buy ointments, or most people buy ointments to take off that burn, but I think recently a lot of like current runners have just elected to take the risk as opposed to the menu time. So
Okay, so it is a menu time to buy the ointments and not a money issue.
It's a minor money issue. It's actually not even the time to buy it is actually quite
Yeah, it's the
small.
time for using it.
Yeah. Anytime
Just
you have to
opening the
you take an
menu.
extra menu, you have to
Yeah.
open it up. It does like a screen load, and it's about 6 seconds to use. So, and actually, they're both going to come up once they finish this first yellow pillar section. They're going to get into the blue pillar section, which has a fight called the Giant Gloop, and that boss can freeze one of your party members. And so we purposely put medicines on Serge or Glenn. I think they both put it on Serge. And the medicine will remove these blue effects in being a flu, a frozen, or anti-blue. And if you don't remove it in the fight, and you have to remove it outside of the battle, it's kind of the same thing as the ointment. And so, once you start having to do the ointments, before you get into that fight, then you have to start doing the medicines. It's like, it's 6 seconds here, 6 seconds there, and it just eats into your time. So.
Although it is objectively funnier if you have to try and move around with your character's flu, because you can't move straight, so they run around like they're drunk.
I'm surprised no one has tried to like figure out like the correct movement pattern, because I don't actually think it's random. I think it's
It's not. You basically walk like a sine wave.
yeah.
But the problem is it's going to be slower because you can't take any direct paths.
Well, like maybe you could like, instead of just holding like up or something, you hold like left and that put like it, like you just like move your analog in like a counterclockwise motion or something, and that like works or something. I don't know.
You want to test it for us?
Carbon strats to the extreme.
That's right. Save 6 seconds by keeping the flu on for the entire game.
Yeah.
I'll pass, but thank you.
So,
Flu percent.
sorry, go ahead.
I said flu percent.
Exactly. So corporate, actually, we didn't really talk about it. We'll get a chance, I think, to address it as Hobbes gets in there, but the room that corporate was just in that Hobbes is about to go into has a bat that's a very, very troubling enemy to avoid. I mean, these two runners are practiced enough that they have kind of a good path to make sure that they don't get hit, but it's very easy to get trolled by that bat, and even when you're reasonably experienced, you can still end up making mistakes in that room very easily. So on Hobbes' side, it's that thing. The reason why it's so problematic is that the hitbox for that bat is not the bat's character model, it's the bat's shadow. We can't see the bat's shadow, which makes it kind of a problem to dodge.
Yeah. So here's the first use of frog prints. Everyone, if you know the dance, do the dance with us, because it's always great when you get frog prints off, because this entire fort section, we're like, it's all about setting up so that way we can get the field blue and get this element off. And sometimes it doesn't really go to plan. Fortunately, Gloop is pretty... Ooh, wow, that didn't kill. Did he, like, not genius or something, or...?
I thought I saw the genius.
Looks like it's just a low roll. Like
Maybe he's 15, did a 15 strategy, low roll.
Did he, at 15, did he, not... I don't remember if 15 needs to turn red or not, but...
No, 15 should be okay without it. At least that's what we have. Or that's what I have. I don't know.
Oof, 15. 15 still. So he Corp is he's really hoping right now that he gets another magic up after this. Otherwise there's another fight that he might be again just shy on damage. So Hobbes also in the giant gloop fight, which this boss is nice about being able to get the frog prints off, because we saw it in Corpse. It does and will use a blue field, which sets the field for us. But
Hobbes got a little unlucky with the AP, but then so you can see this taken. It came out before he got the ice blast off, which can, if it's done on Lena, can be really not great. But he's okay.
Yeah. We'll see if his Surge. He's almost probably going to see blue field as well. Yeah, he's just full defending. He's probably going to get Lena levels and then defend for the blue field as well. So actually, he defended Lena because that's the first target, but because Glenn and Serge were also defending, it just lets Gloop go again into the blue field, even though he could have waited or kind of messed around a little bit to make sure that he didn't miss, but it's safe enough. So Hobbes with his successful Frog Prince. Hopefully his damage is enough this.
Feels like it
530.
should be enough.
His was also kind of low.
Oh,
Oh
they
wow.
both shorted.
Yeah.
Then 10. So there you go.
Yeah. Corp had to do an Aqua Beam. Ooh. Also, Corp is now dodging the worst enemies in the game. Like, we talk about bats, but these paper boys are a pain.
They are
good dodge on the
objectively
first
the
one.
worst.
Yeah. So he has one more to dodge. Unfortunately, there was one off to the bottom right that can also kind of come up and get in your way, which you shouldn't expect to happen, but it can, and that is awful.
So Hobbes is just under 2 minutes behind now. So he has been making up some ground, doing a really good job of like
One more
fighting
dodge.
through.
Let's see. Ooh, okay. Ooh, really good dodge there. Actually, I've never seen that type of dodge. That's good. I might have to yoink that.
Going around on the side there.
Yeah, yeah. So the corners are pretty safe against those guys. Like, they go invisible, and when they round the corner, generally they can't get you. But they're paper boys. They do what they want. But there's enough space where if like you can kind of slide on like right versus left side kind of deal while they're invisible, and so good movement by Corp to not get those encounters. And now he's on the Taurusoid fight, which this is what we were talking about with the burns. Taking extra damage on this fight can be very dangerous. So he got the weak-minded off before Taurusoid went, so and he still gets to go.
He's going. Oh, is he going for it?
He's looking at it. I think he's got it there, but he's he's not gonna do it.
Let's Cybot skip. If that enemy is named a Cybot, and if you jam yourself into exactly the right spot in the corner, you can get you can have him walk by you without having to wait. But if you mess up, you have to fight it. So it's a big time loss if you mess up.
Yeah, you cannot.
What is with Glenn missing?
Oh my god.
That's
Wow, that
actually
was
not
so
good.
unlucky.
Yeah, so that's already tough as it is, especially after you do the Cure Plus that he did, which he did the Cure Plus for safety. Also, actually, good delay on him to not have Geniused early. He made sure that he's gotten all the levels to now Genius. Though I think he should have gotten Lena to level 5, but he can still make this work. It might be a little close. It might be close.
I think he's okay. The nice thing about Taurusoid, so when we've talked about AP, right, and how enemies have like a floor or a minimum AP, Taurusoid's, I think he's short.
I think he's short because he has to get 3 extra levels here, and so he already did a Magnify. Now he's in a Beam, which is 2. Now he's attacking to get levels up, so he's at 4. This is gonna be 5. Now he's got to hit all 3 to go to 8. Then Glenn has to hit 1, do a thing that puts him at 10. So this is so tight. He cannot afford to miss.
Yeah. So that's the thing. So Taurusoid's floor is 11. Also, Hobbs got caught by a paperboy while we were watching.
So, okay, well he didn't get a miss, so
He's good.
he gets it off.
Yeah, Taurusoid, as aggravating as he is, the one saving grace is he's slow, so you can get a lot of stuff in before in between each of his turns.
Yeah, and there's Frog Prince getting off at 940. So, had he missed somewhere, not only that, his Lena stamina was exactly what he needed. So if he had to get another one, he actually would have had to use 2 AP worth to get the stamina back, to get the element level, and then do the thing. So very fortunate that he did not miss.
Hobbs going for the turn red strategy here, which is a little different than what Corporate did with Weak-Minded. It actually has a bigger damage range, but depending on your loadout, I don't know who has the cure. So his Serge is at risk. If he gets attacked with Serge again, because Serge has burns and the Iron Vest, I think his Serge will die. He didn't. So he's okay.
Good targeting. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it does depend. It looks like he kept the turn red on Lena, where you put weak-minded on Serge, and I put the turn red on Serge as well. So I mean, they'll all work. It's just kind of like what are you at risk for? So.
Right. And that's one of the reasons why oh, sorry. Go ahead. Excuse me.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say that's one of the reasons why I really like this game is that everyone has their own little variations on the strats, because we've all played it. Like, frankly, we've all spent so many hours on this that it's like, oh yeah, I feel like I like this thing a little bit more, and everyone has their own little version of some of this stuff.
Yeah, this is definitely like it's really just a level of comfort and kind of like runner preference sometimes. So, because I mean, like things things can work. It's just how often and
It's mostly mitigating the bad things that you personally hate the most.
yeah.
I had a good run that got screwed by blank, so I'm gonna do the thing that makes that.
Yeah, exactly.
No, seriously, like the past few months, right? Like I was getting screwed because Lino kept missing on Fire Dragon, and I was like, well, if I could do an Aqua Ball level 2, I'm gonna do it. So I for months now I've been doing Aqua Ball level 2, and I'm like, I don't really need it anymore. I'm getting more screwed now by not having tablets. So I'm like, let me just undo what I just did.
Oh man, it's just swinging back and forth. So it looks like Hobbes. Sorry, did you guys see what Corpse Magic was? I saw Hobbes got to 17.
I did not see Corpse.
I think it's still 15, but I wasn't paying attention.
If it's at 15, he'll be good for this next fight.
Ideally. I think it's a variance roll, as well as you need extra chip. So what Corp is gonna do? He's gonna attack with Surge twice, so that way he gets to level 2, and then he's gonna swing a 3-3 or a 3-2 if the first 3 hits with Lena. Kind of just playing with hit percentages there, but also really trying to get her to level 5. Now, if she's level 3, you can still make it work within the minimum boundaries. But we're really looking for level 2 Surge, level 5 Lena before Son of a Gun attacks. Also, if you're scared of clowns, no, not a lot of time, but you should look away.
Avert your eyes. This boss is just the worst.
Yeah, this boss is kind of nightmarish.
Oh, bad start.
Oof.
So that's a 40-second loss against a good start. But the good news is that it actually does help on the damage. You actually need less of a high magic. Like, you're probably safer now.
Yeah. Ooh, that's a bad miss by Glenn.
Yeah, that's not great.
Hopefully this misses. I think he's actually gonna have to eat a little bit more time now. It's man.
Oh,
actually, looking at that stamina, so I have it to do a 1-1-1-2 with Glenn. I'll have to look at the stamina again because if somehow Kissy Wissy had hit Glenn there, he could technically go off with a level 2 Surge and a level 5 Lena if they were both at 7. But
I think you're okay. I think you're also okay with Lena at 6, aren't you? Because like the first thing you're gonna do.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right.
He should be fine now. So he's set up for the backup.
Yeah,
like you said, it's a little slow, but it works.
Yeah. So he ended up using the Panaceas that we grabbed from the ghost ship. To remove the sleep that Kissy Wissy does on Surge, and then he full defended because unless he got a high roll, he wouldn't be able to get this Frog Prince off without being interrupted. Now, after Son of a Gun does his Kissy Wissy attack, he changes his face and he has 4 different modes. It's like happy, sad, angry, and something else. Docile maybe. I don't remember which ones. 2 of them will do an element on its next turn. The other 2 will attack you. So there is, like, if you're really familiar with the faces, Andy, one of the kind of OG runners, had this documented where, if you know the face, you could technically avoid that defend and just set up the field as per normal and let it go. But personally, I stuck at knowing what face I'm, at and what it's gonna do. So I just, I agree with his full defend and just letting things happen. So.
Oh boy, here we go. So Hobbes got a good start, but missed one of the 3, so he cannot miss these attacks. He needs a high roll.
Wait, what?
He got the good start, but he only got to level 3.
No, he just turned blue Son of a Gun, right? And then he just used an Aqua Beam with
yes.
Oh,
yes.
no!
He's gonna be short damage. So
he's gonna be way short. Oh,
So now he's
Oh, sorry. Here.
no,
Sorry.
sorry. So he
he realized.
Yeah, he realized it. So we do turn blues on the element, on the enemy. Not, you'd be like, well, that's a bad idea because, you know, if we use a blue element against a blue enemy, we're going to do less damage. And you're right. Except if we do 2 turn elements on it, they overwrite each other. So if we did a turn blue, then a turn red, the enemy would end up being red. But if we do turn blue and then a turn blue on it again, it goes back to what it was normally. So, and it's just a faster animation to do.
Oh.
So,
Corp just.
yeah. Corp just, he pulled the Dragoon. He was looking for a fast pass, and then he deloaded the thing. Oh, wow. That's actually
love that dodge.
wow.
He's
That's a
so
good
good
one.
at that. He's so good at that. I don't know that I've ever seen anyone else do that dodge consistently on the stairs from like inside to out like that.
That's the first like jump that it does. So normally you can like aggro the Dragoon and then like kind of bait it in a sense to have it lunge at you, and when it does that lunge, you go for it. But it's very hard to do it on the first lunge. So that was really clean by Corp, even though he had to deload the room and reset it up. But that was clean.
So Hobbes over here did his second fight, got the good start, hit everything, and got the Frog Prince off. So that's what the fight looks like if everything goes well. And you can see how much faster it was than what Corporate had to do. But unfortunately for Hobbes,
barring the run.
yeah, you know, minor details. And so we got Corporate over here on Bunyip now, which is can be a scary enemy. Also a little bit more nightmare fuel. This is definitely the nightmare fuel section of the run. With our good friend Son of a Gun, followed by Bunyip Phase 2. And I don't know if one of you guys wants to talk about like the differences between the phases and the AP rolls.
No, I have trauma from this fight from last night.
Azal, do you want to talk about it?
Sure. So the way that these kind of multi-phase fights work in Chrono Cross is the game treats this as if there's actually 2 enemies on the field, even though you're only seeing one of them at a time, and they each have their own individual AP rolls. So one of the things that can happen, unfortunately I don't believe that it did here, is after that phase transition, it's possible for Bunyip to actually attack right away. And if he does that, that basically makes pulling off the Frog Prince here a lot harder because you have fewer AP to work with. So it makes it a lot riskier that you're going to get interrupted while you're trying to do your setup.
Yeah. So I don't think he's going to kill here, but he did get the Frog Prince off, which is the first important thing. Also, 815. That actually looks like really good damage. It looks like Serge got well, that miss doesn't help, but normally what you would be able to, hopefully be able to do after the Frog Prince is have Serge do a 1 into his level 5 tech of Luminaire, which is based on his magic, which looks like he's going to do now after the Gravitone. But if for a really good fight on this, you're able to skip both the Luminaire and the Gravitone. But it looks like, I don't think we talked about I don't remember hearing, ooh, that Lumi did not kill. This Aqua Beam should.
His Surge's magic is just so low. Really unlucky.
Yeah. And so I don't know if you talked about in the first phase, which actually Hobbes is doing it now. So Hobbes is setting up for the Magnify. Hopefully he can still go after this. But after this Magnify, if Bunyip gets a turn, it's going to do an Inferno. Ooh, that defense seemed risky, but maybe not. I wasn't counting.
He had a reasonably good start. I think he got the 1-off from Serge before the Genius, before Bunyip's Magma Bomb, so I think he was okay.
Yeah, so if Bunyip got another turn there, like the first phase of it, it would do Inferno, which is after the Magnify, it's almost a party wipe. It does so much damage, and you know we talked about very early on how you can run from just about every fight, but you just can't do it when every single person is at 0 health. So a low roll on on the first phase, he did a... Is he going to be able to get this Frog Prince off?
I think so. He got a 1-2, and then he started.
He got a 1-2 in before the attack.
Yeah, but then he ran up with Serge to do it too as well.
He'll be okay as long as he doesn't miss, I think.
There we go.
Yeah.
Super scary.
Yeah, that was 95%, but it still could have missed.
And now Corporate is... Actually, I don't think he's gotten any encounters that weren't, planned for. So
No, I don't think so. That's a no encounter Fort Dragonia.
yeah, that's very good. Very hard to do. Normally, you tend to get hit by a bat or a paper boy or that Dragoon. So,
Yeah, you kind of expect one.
yeah.
I don't know if you guys saw. So Hobbes on his side actually got almost the exact same dodge that Corporate did. So
Nice.
it was really also really clean. I was like, man, apparently everyone knows how to do that but me. It was really nice.
Well, I've seen it. I'm too I couldn't do it that way. But I've been failing my Dragoon dodges recently. So
You know, that dodge,
Get
it
the
looks really
repractice.
good on paper.
I would love to dodge paper. Please, please help me. Corpse starting the final 2 boss fights of this percent in Viper, and then Lynx. So, and this is again where Glenn's important. It looks like his Glenn actually somehow managed to be 25 strength at this point, after it looked like abysmal after leaving Mount Pyre. What was he, like 18 or something? And now he's done 5 fights and he's 25 or something. So that's just crazy stat growth at the end there.
Was he even that high? Wasn't he like 16 going into the fight or something?
I don't even remember, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
Some terrible number.
But he's 25 now, which is pretty good. So that's just Chrono Cross can be very just kind of sporadic with its stat line, and really you do want to be a bit kind of forward focused in it, because every stat you get at the start is a stat you don't need to get later, and you get to leverage it sooner. So. Now we get to see Glenn's level 5 tech of Sonic Sword. Ooh, that didn't kill. Oh, wow.
That was
surprising.
Way short. Holy cow. He's 50 health off.
Oh, he's not 25. He's 22.
Oh, okay.
That explains a lot. Big difference.
Oh, and he got
between
an
25
extra mail drop.
Yeah, he got as we affectionately call it, handy dropped after another under super handy, not getting the Dragoon Gauntlet there.
So he may not be continuing this. He might still, but that's it for the any percent run. That has no impact on the cap percent, but it has a huge impact on the any percent run. And his Surge is not particularly strong either right now.
Yeah, that Gauntlet. We do pick up one earlier, like when we're in Viper Manor, but it's 90% to get it from General Viper there, and to not get it is pretty rough. Ooh.
Ooh, Hobbes, no!
He just strengthened. Oh, and he's running.
So you're supposed to strengthen Glenn there at the start of the Viper fight, and Hobbes did it on Serge instead. Surge is forced into the middle, and when you mash on elements, it automatically locks to the character in the middle to start, so you have to move off of it.
Yeah, it was Hobbes' Glenn that's 25. So
I think Hobbes both Surge and Glenn are both 25.
Yeah. I actually think he probably could have made it work even with the strengthen on Surge, because I think realistically it kind of amounts to like 4 strength worth, so he would have had a fight similar to Corporate's, but
yeah, running is pretty slow. I agree with you that you probably just
eat it. Yeah,
that would you get mad about it after you're done, but in the moment you're like, all right, well, just
yeah, it's a tough call to make. So, but either way, if he was lower strength running, you almost should. But It's okay. I think they both want to just be done at this point.
Yeah.
Corp's going for our last X strike of this percent. And boom.
Oh, there he goes.
There we
Got him.
go. GG's Corp.
GG Corp, time coming up.
And
Got the Pendragon sigil.
time for Corp. 2:14:05. Good run by Corp. Really good dodges. Little unlucky with that handy drop. We were talking about earlier, that gauntlet. If he was to continue into any percent, he'd be down an accessory that gives him 3 strength worth. So,
I
we
think
were
the
just
last-
talking about how Hobbes is at 25 strength on his Glen and Corp's 22, which is a 3 strength difference. So, not having that accessory is pretty big.
Yeah, it's definitely over the course of the remaining 4.5 to 5 hours of the run, as especially late in the game, missing it can have a pretty big influence.
Carbon?
Sorry, go ahead, Doc.
No, I was...
It looks like Corp's not going to continue it, just leaving it on that. So,
There you go.
still a really good look from him. Unfortunate that it didn't quite work out, but yeah, I will say I was a little surprised that they both agreed to not do guard skip. Like I understand not wanting the race to come down to that, but Corp has recently started to adopt doing it. So, but still really good time. And even with kind of the rough like cutscene issue that Hobbes had at the beginning and that Komodo thing with some of those jitters, like the time that he's about to get is still really, really good. So
he did a really great job kind of like fighting through, some of the, like the early scuffles and, at stretches he was pretty far behind, but really, came back to get, this very easily. There were a couple.
And time, 2:16:16.
He got the Sky Gen ring.
Perfect. This was pretty, this was a very close race that very easily with like one or two other things could have actually turned. Like if Hobbes, because there were a couple times where Corporate, had like a couple of those issues in fights, like the son of a gun and whatnot. So it was really close. It was a great run by both.
Yeah, GG's to Hobbes and Corp. And Hobbes was making a bunch of ground at the end there. Honestly, if he got rid of those runaways on Son of a Gun and Viper, that alone is 40 seconds right there. Maybe even more from the Son of a Gun because he invested so much time. So he was making a lot of ground through this back section.
Yeah. It is under a 2-minute difference between them, going off of their individual timers. So that's I think that might be the closest one so far in this tournament.
Nice.
Yeah, and just my final comment on this. Now this puts Corp at 3 wins in the groups, so I think he's just about guaranteed to have tiebreakers at worst. So it's on our. I think his last opponent is our very own Azala here. So Azala, we're counting on you to force tiebreakers.
Yeah, I'll do my best.
That's all we can ask for.
Right. The rest is up to Chrono Cross, to be honest.
And will Chrono Cross decide?
GG to all the runners in the commentary. Yeah, this win pretty much guarantees that Corp will be going on to the finals. Very, very close. I think this is one of the, at least the top 2 closest races we've had so far between online and offline. I think the next one was probably between like Hobbes and Azalea, where there was just slightly under 3 minutes difference. So with that, thank you everyone for showing up. We'll be back tomorrow at 4 p.m. EST for Zan vs. AG Dietz. So hopefully to see everyone there, or everyone come back for that. In the meantime, we're going to throw the raid to a community member, Super Handy. He is doing a 20% good ending for Chrono Cross. So if you're interested what happens after the Lynx 2 part, this is the perfect time. And it also makes him finish a run. So a little bit of a double edge there. Thank you again to the runners in the commentary for providing their time and amazing insight with the game. We'll be signing off and we'll be seeing you tomorrow. Everyone have a good night and stay safe.